Hi everyone, it's Lauren, and welcome back to my happy place. I was working on something the other day and I needed a button for it. I needed something festive, vintagey, folksy, and I didn't have exactly what I needed, but presto manifesto. As soon as I feel like I need something, the universe kind of steps in and says, here you go. So I was watching some YouTube channels and I found a new one. Her name is Christine and her channel is Aussie Rose Designs, and I'm gonna link her below. And she was doing paper buttons, and she says she's not the first one she's seen doing it. I think everyone's been doing these for a while, but I had forgotten all about them till I saw her. So thanks, Christine, for popping that idea in my head. This is gonna be my version of it, so throw my buttons into the paper button box. But when I was making these, it got me thinking about a way of doing buttons that I hadn't done in a long time, and not my idea either. Somebody was doing an ugly button video and it was great. I can't remember who it was either though, so I feel bad, but if you know who does these, let me know, I'll link them. Anyway, they were doing theirs out of paper. They just took an ugly button and covered it with some paper, and they have a really cute new button. And then I started doing them with tissue paper. So now I have some festive looking tissue paper, but well, they're not tissue paper buttons, they're covered in tissue paper. So I'm gonna do a paper button today and a tissue paper covered button. And then that got me thinking, what if I used a cork? So I have a little collection of corks, of course, so I grabbed one and I gave it a slice and I punched some holes in it, and it was kind of cute too. So I'll do one of those quick. And then I remembered a felt button that I had gotten in a swap one time, and this isn't exactly what it was, but this is my version of it. So this was really fun to make, so I'm going to do that one too. So I have buttons 4 ways, and I think I'll just start with the paper buttons. So I'll go put this away and I'll be right back. Okay, here we go, we're ready. So I'm just going to use a piece of 110-pound cardstock. It's a scrap piece. This is a really good scrap buster too, this whole project. I like to use a 1-inch punch. I do have a smaller button, but I find that the one will be good to film. You can see it better. So I need 3 of those. And you can put more in between and make a thicker button if you want, but 3 is a good number. It's sturdy enough and I won't be snipping away the whole time. So we'll do 3 for the inside, and then I need an outside and a front and a back, so to speak. And I like the plaid, and I haven't done a plaid one yet. Plaid, if you didn't know, is my favorite color. I know it's not really a color, but I love plaid. I especially love plaid flannel. Stereotypical Canadian, maybe? I don't know. It's cozy and comfy, and I like it. I think those are pretty together too. So I'm going to use this. There, put some berries in there, a little foliage. Good. Okay, so I have let's get rid of this so you can see them better. I have my 3 discs and my front and my back. So I'm going to start with my plaid. I just want to put some glue on and make sure I get right to the edges. If it spills out a bit, it's okay, because I will be sanding later. So I'm going to speed up my gluing process. There. So I'm going to put that aside because I've got one already made that I can go on to the next step. So this is what it's like when it's already dried, and I have to put holes in it now. And you can use an awl if you want to, if you don't have a little hole punch. It does work. It doesn't work as well as a punch. It kind of pushes its way through and tears it, whereas the punch cuts and it's nice and clean. So I'm going to use my little crocodile, and before I do that, I'm going to mark where I want my holes. So I love my grid. There. So I'm going to put them down the center, and I don't have, on this one it doesn't matter, I don't have a up or down. That could be an up or down, but there. If you have an up or down or an image, I don't know, maybe you want it to sit upright. Okay, I'm going to go across my middle line and just on the other side of the center. There we go. I have been putting them too far apart, I think, so I'm going to try here. And what I should actually do, I suppose, is measure out where that is on here. That would be so brilliant. Let's see if that's there. There, I'll just push that up. Huh. Look at that. Okay, next step, oopsies, this is the messy part. Just need an emery board, and I'm just going to sand. I'm going to sand my edges so that I can kind of get rid of any glue that's seeped out, and also to kind of blur the layers of the paper so they don't look so much like layered paper. Done. Next step, distress the edges, and that's what really kind of brings it together, makes it look old. I'm going to go all the way around first. There, that is that pretty much. Now this next part is kind of optional, but I like it. The edges are distressed, but the holes aren't. So I'm going to take I'm going to take a Q-tip. This one's really pointy. I think it's a makeup applicator. It's kind of scary to use as a Q-tip for wound cleaning or something. It's got to be for makeup. There, and I'm just going to go in and kind of gently use it to distress. Same way I used my little sponge for the outside. There. There. Okay. There we go. And that is that. Cute, simple, and very quick. Okay, I'll get rid of this mess and we'll go on to the next one. Okay, got pretty much everything I need for the next buttons. The paper and tissue covered buttons. These are the two buttons I'm going to work with. I'm going to use the red one to cover with paper and the white one for the tissue. And it's good to use a white or very light colored button for the tissue because it's so transparent. So I'm going to work on both at the same time. And it'll just be easier, I think, that way, so they get a little drying time in there. And this is just a very old piece of paper. It came out of, I think it might be a Bible, but it's Mennonite. I got it at our thrift store. It's German. I thought that's interesting. I'm just going to tear a piece off that will cover my button. There. That'll be just like that. Okay. And I'm using, this is Mod Podge. You can use PVA glue or whatever works, but I like Mod Podge. And this button is a matte finish, so I'm not going to sand it. Generally, I would sand before I started this, but this button happens to be matte, so I don't need to. I sand so that, because sometimes the glue just doesn't stick to a glossy surface, so if I sand it, I rough it up a little bit. So I'll sand that one. But this one, I'm just putting it on the top right now. I'm getting it in all the little cracks. Well, not all the cracks, the circles, the edging. Getting it in the edge there. There, once that is stuck, I'm going to go back in with my glue and just get that top part, well, and around the side. This can get really messy, especially with me doing it. I am not a tidy crafter. So I'm going to try really hard not to get too messy, because I want the paper to stick to the button, not my hands. But I found that if I work in stages, like gluing it to the top of the button first and then trying to go around the edges, it's a lot less messy for me. And the glue, because it's wet, softens the paper, so it makes it a little bit easier to get in all the corners and get a good seal on it. So I'm going to maybe leave this one just for now, just like that, and let it let it stick and adhere better. So for this one now, I'll give it a quick little sand. I'm just going to use my emery board and just scuff it up a little. Okay, you won't be able to see it, I don't think. Little tiny scratches, just enough for the glue to sink in. So now I want to I'm going to use this one because I like the contrasting colors and I love blue and red together. So I'm going to use the cardinal. I'm going to make sure his head is featured. I want it about there. There. I'm not going to get him all in. I just want to get the main part, his features. For now, I'll go back to this one. Yeah, it seems to be stuck pretty good. Let's see what happened on the back here. There. Because I don't care if it sticks to the back of the button, because I can fix that. My main concern is that it sticks all the way around. Okay. So now I'm going to just glaze the top. I'm going to do this one again. I might have to pause the video for a second while those dry. So I'll be right back. They're dry enough to work with. They're not completely dry, but they'll work. So I want to get rid of all this extra paper here. The best way to do it, again with the emery board, is just to take it and bring it down and just rub it along the edge like that. You can see the button popping through. It just wears it off and it just peels away really nice. So I'll just go around. And I can clean up the back as well, the same way. There. All right. So now I gotta find those buttonholes again. And I set them to poke through. I might poke through from the back first, just so I can see where they are in the front. There. And they were square on the button, but they are going to be round because my little awl is round. There. There we go. And I can give it one more coat, but I'm not going to because then I'll have to wait for it to dry again. So this one will come up, oops, will come apart a little easier because tissue is thinner. Yeah. This one I can see the holes through the tissue, so we'll just do that. There. Okay, so both of those, I usually do give them another coat of a finish, but I'm not going to, like I said. It's going to take too long to dry, so next step now is just to distress them, make them look a little older. So I'm going to use a Q-tip, or I think it's actually a makeup applicator because it's pretty pointy, but it goes in the holes nice. There. Old newsprint or something. And the bird, I could leave it like that. It's pretty just like that. If I wanted to distress it and give it a little bit older look, I can do that too. There. There's those two little buttons. There. And they're sweet. And they're fun. And they're messy. I like to get a big production line going. Okay, I'm going to go clean this up and I'll bring the corks. I have two different corks here. I have the cork that's made from cork, and I also have this new synthetic cork, and I tried a button with it. It actually looks more like a deer antler. Not really fond of it. It's not the look I wanted, but I tried it. So that's what the synthetic cork looks like for a button. I prefer the natural cork. So that's what this one is. So you need a knife, kind of a long blade. And the trick is to cut it square, like at a, not to go off at an angle or something. So easiest way for me is just to kind of get behind it and just really gently kind of saw. I tried pressing straight down and I lost the cork pattern. I didn't like that very much. So there we go, I've got that. It's a little bit, I'm going to take that off. It's just a little thick here. And hopefully this fits into my crocodile, because I like to use the crocodile for these ones too. Is it going to go? Oh, it will. It'll go. It just goes. So that's okay. I'll pull it up just a bit. There. Yep, that's good. And the cork likes to get in there and clog it up really good. There. And I'll go straight across on that one. Oof. See if I think that looks pretty good. With nothing. Oh, there we go. Well, that's pretty good. It's got a little slice there. That won't do. I'll just take that off. Watch your fingers. It was like trying to cut a piece of a loaf of bread. I cannot cut it so the bread comes out solid, like the same thickness all the way down. It's always a wedge. I'm going to try it one more time just to see if I can do it. Okay, I'm going to make it a little thinner too. They don't have to be thick. They're pretty sturdy actually. So I'm going to see if I can just go a little bit thinner so that it will fit into the crocodile better. You know what I need? I need a little tiny miter saw so that I can get it straight. Look at how thick that got. Oh my goodness. I'm going to just shave that off. And try not to shave off the tip of my thumb while I'm doing it. There. That works. Okay. Let's try this one now. Okay. You go in. Oh, look at it go in nice. There. Okay, going in again. There. Okay. There. Now I have two. And that's about it. You could leave them like that. Or you can darken the edges. And I like the edges darkened. There. Done. Done, done, and done. Okay, let's do these little felt ones now. These are pretty quick, except for my hand stitching, but I will speed through that. They're so simple, and they're really easy. And if I can sew, like, hand stitch, anybody can hand stitch. So I have two Christmassy colors, because that's what I want it for. Use any color. I'm going to use the same cardstock that I used for my other buttons, and I'm going to I'm just going to use a little one though. Oh, it flew away. There we go. And that's just to give it a base. I think if you had a better quality of felt, you wouldn't need to use the paper in there, but this is what I have, so that's what I'm going to use. Anyhow, I'm going to just attach this little paper circle down, and it'll give the button a little bit of a strength, but it will also give me a guide to cut, because I don't have a circle cutter that will cut the felt. I don't think. I've never tried using a punch, but I'm going to put one on my red as well. There. I'm going to leave a border because I am going to cut around, not up to it. I'm going to just use it as a guide and cut a little wider than that. So I'm going to cut out a square-ish shape, and maybe just another one too. I'll use 2 layers for the bottom. And I'm going to make the bottom of this one green. There. Well, I hope I left enough. I'll use that for a smaller one. I don't want to miss my edges. There we go. Okay, we'll save that one. And I might as well cut this while I'm at it. And I really only need one of these little red guys. There, put those there. So, yes, I want this to be bigger. I'm going to try to freehand cut this using that little circle as a guide. And why not use my 1-inch punch? Good question. I found that when I use my 1-inch punch, the paper, if I cut my felt out to fit it, the paper sort of shone through on the edge, and I don't want that. And if I used my 1-inch punch and then left a border around it, then my button was ginormous, and I didn't want that either. So there, I think this is good. And one thing I've learned about cutting circles freehand is good enough is good enough, because when you start trimming off, you start making them lopsided, and the next thing you know, you have some kind of wobbly oval shape. So now this one I don't want to be as big because I want it to go in the middle, but I still want to have an edge around it. There. I don't know if you know this, but when you're cutting with scissors around a shape, don't move your scissors, move the object. You get a straighter, more accurate line when you do. There. And that's not perfect either, but perfect doesn't exist. At least it's not in art. There. So that will be my button. That's big enough. Now I'm going to sew my little one first, because I glued it right down over the stitch, and I just want to have a stitching in it. I don't have to, I could just glue it down like that, but I like the stitching, so I'm just using embroidery thread, and I take a fair length. For this one I used only 3 of the strands, but I think I'm going to try and use all 6 of them for this, just to make it a little bit thicker. There, that'll work. Okay, here we go. No, not a very messy knot. That's okay, it's going to be hidden. Just don't want it to pull out. And a needle. There's my needle. I like this needle. I don't do hand stitching. Well, I suppose I do, but I'm not very good at it because I don't do very much of it. There, how's that? So, well, I'm going to use my button now as a guide. But I'm just going to go in at the back, and down. There we go. There. Okay, it'll work. And this one, I'm just going to glue it together. The glue stiffens things a bit, I think, and for a button I kind of like that. So just around a bit, and I'm going to leave the edge free because it's going to get sewn anyway, or something close to sewing. My rendition of sewing. There. Okay. All right, and then that will just go on like this. So I think actually I'm going to glue this on first, just so I know exactly where it's going to be. I'm going to put some glue on those sketchy little knots. There. Okay. I got a little something to poke that in with. There it is. Thought I lost it. There, because you don't need to see that. There we go. Okay. Okay, I'm going to speed up again. Spare you the trauma of me trying to do a blanket stitch. Well, there. For better or worse, there we go. Okay, so I actually haven't tried using my crocodile. I just used this. It's actually a bead reamer. Or I use it as an awl, but technically it's a bead reamer. There, and that worked pretty good. I don't know if you can see that or not. There, I'll do the other one. There. I cut them in wonky. There, okay. All right, and then just to make my bow, get my yarn back, and I have enough left, I think. Just go in one side and up through the other and undo it. I'll stick my needles back because I will lose them. My feet will find them. And it's not fun. There. I could use a ribbon to tie that too. I think that would look sweet. Just trim those up a little. There. There you go. It's kind of wonky. You know, I'm going to make some more. Maybe I'll get better at it. Okay. Well, here's the 4 buttons that I made. The little cork guys. And my hand stitching felt ones. It's quirky. I have lots to learn about hand stitching, but it's cute. I like it. And the paper. Oh, and while I was waiting for my other ones to dry, I found some of this just sitting on my desk. And I kind of blinged up the edge of this one a little bit. So, just a little Christmas decor for it. And then there's these two, the tissue paper and the book page buttons. There. So, that's it for today, and thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate you popping in and spending your time with me. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to hit subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.